Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Bava Batra, pages 33 through 39. Lamed Gimel 33. Hahu de Amar le Lechavre. One fellow says to another, My bait b'hai ara. What are you doing on this land? This is my land. What are you doing here? Amar le, the other fellow responds, Minach zabnine, v'achle shnei chazaka. Well, you sold it to me some time ago, and I have been living here and residing on this land and eating the yield of this land for the years of chazaka. Enough time to have a halachic presumption that I am the owner of the field. However, the occupant was only able to produce witnesses that he had been on this land and eating its yield for the past 2 years, whereas a chazaka requires 3 years. So they went for the adjudication before the rabbinical court. Amarav Nachman, Hadra Arava Hadra Peri. The land must be restored to the original owner because the chazaka fails; it is not a valid chazaka, and the fruit, the yield of the field, must be returned to the proper owner. Lamed Daled 34. How Arba, there was a boat. The Havamenatse Lebetre. Two people were fighting over ownership of this boat. Hi Amrdidehi. This one says it belongs to me. Hi Amrdidehi, and this one says no, it belongs to me. So one of the litigants went before the rabbinical court and said, "Seize the boat." Until such time as I can produce witnesses that will corroborate that the boat is in fact mine. So tavsinan ol tavsinan. Should the court seize the boat or not? Rav Huna amar tavsinan. Rav Huna said, yes, grab the boat. Rav Yehuda amar lo tavsinan. Rav Yehuda says, no, the rabbis should not grab the boat. Azal velo ashkach sadeh amalu afkua b'chol dalim gevar. So the one who wanted the court to take action said, listen, I was unable to find the witnesses that I was looking for, so why don't you release the boat, and then whoever can grab it, grabs it. So the alim gavar, whoever is able to take possession first, that's the rightful owner. Mafkinan lo mafkinan. So under these conditions, do we release the boat or do we not release the boat? Rav Yehuda amar lo mafkinan, Rav Papa mafkinan. So Rav Yehuda says we don't release it. Rav Papa says we do release it. Vehilchata, what's the law on all of this matter? Lo tavsinan, the court should not be in the business of seizing the asset. And where they did seize the asset, they should not release it. 35, Lamed Amar Rav. Rav said, Yisrael haba machmatavid kochavim harehu kovid kochavim. If a Jew has a chazaka on a property on the basis of having purchased it from a Gentile, then it's no different than if it was a Gentile claiming a chazaka, meaning the chazaka fails. So this was a property that was previously owned by a Jew, and we don't know that this Jew sold it to a non-Jew, and the other Jew claims he bought it from the non-Jew, then the second Jew cannot claim a chazaka. It fails. Just as a non-Jew would only have retention of property on the basis of a document that proves ownership and not on the basis of having been there as a squatter for X number of years. So too, if a Jew claims to have bought from a Gentile, it's only going to work if he has the document. Lamed Vav 36. Amar Rav Yehuda. If a person were to develop a chazaka on somebody else's property concerning the fringes of the property, the area beyond the wall meant to protect the field from wild animals, lo have chazaka. It doesn't count as a chazaka. Why? My timer. Because the owner of the field doesn't have any interest in fighting over this, since whatever is planted in that area beyond the wild animal fence gets eaten by the wild animals anyway. So there's no utility in the real owner getting into a litigation with this fellow over the area at the fringes of the property beyond the wild animal fence. Lamed Zain 37. Amri Nahardoli. Haiman dizabin diklalachavre. If you sell a date palm to your fellow, the person who buys the date palm acquires the soil from the level of the ground where the tree grows out of all the way to the depths of the earth. That we don't have any maximum depth for with the ownership of this one tree. Rather, it goes all the way down into the crust. Lamed Chet. Shalosh aratzot lachazaka. There are three sections of the land of Israel, three geographic regions, for purposes of establishing a chazaka on land. Yehuda, Evrayarden v'Galil. There's the Judean lands, there's the Transjordanian lands, and there's the Galilee up north. Hayab Yehuda v'Echzik b'Galil. If one person in this equation was in Judea and the other one was in the Galilee, b'Galil v'Echzik b'Yehuda, or vice versa, Eina chazaka ad she'imo b'medina achat. The chazaka will not be valid unless the original owner and the person who's the so-called squatter or occupant who's claiming that he's now the real owner, unless they're both in the same geographic region. Now, what's the point of all this? Because we want to make sure that the protest by the original owner of the occupant becomes known, and it's only going to the original owner is only going to know to protest if he hears about someone occupying this property. But if they're in widely separate geographic areas, then the knowledge of what's going on may be missing, and so therefore chazaka doesn't stand. Lametet, Hani bar kapara. What happens if a person was an original owner and somebody else, an occupant, is claiming chazaka rights, and the original owner is protesting, is lodging a complaint against the squatter, and for whatever reason it didn't work out in his favor, and he protests again, consistently protesting the current reality, the status quo. So if the original owner is consistent in the type of claim that he's making about what happened through each and every protest, then we'll say he's honest. He's telling us the truth. And the chazaka fails. However, if the original owner tells a different story each time, so it sounds like he's making it up and these are all lies, then yes, the chazaka of the occupant will stand and have legal validity. Everyone have a great week.